Hello, hello, beautiful souls. How are you guys today? This is Darlene, and I've been getting a lot of requests for my lupus story on some of the other social media outlets. I have expressed that I cured my lupus, and a lot of people ask me, like, what did you do exactly to cure your lupus? And so I finally have the time to sit down and kind of explain exactly what I did. I did write some things down just so that I don't forget anything and I can make sure that I share everything with you guys. But yeah, so that's what we're going to talk about today. So come on in, get you a glass, a cup of herbal tea or some fresh juice, water, and I'm going to tell you guys all about my lupus diagnosis and how I cured myself of lupus. So again, my name is Darlene Charise, and I am a postpartum doula. I am a herbalist and a womb wellness practitioner, and I own an amazing, wonderful feminine care brand, Her Secret Garden. And so my content is about health and wellness and feminine energy and feminine hygiene, and lots of girly things. And so lupus is kind of a very, very, very serious topic. It is a very serious autoimmune disease. And it's taken me a really long time to do this video because I'm not a medical doctor and I'm not a medical professional. Obviously, I do know about herbs. I really focus on women's health when I'm talking about herbs and dealing with herbs, women's health, wellness, perimenopause, menopause, hormonal, infertility, fertility, postpartum, those types of things. And so, um, I love to share all the things that I do, the wonderful things that I do as far as, health and wellness and fitness is concerned. But when it comes to lupus, I understand that it is a very, very serious disease. And there are a lot of people who are suffering with this autoimmune disease. And so I really wanted to pray about what I wanted to say and how I wanted to say it before I did the video. And I just want to make sure that everything is received in a way. I am, like I said, I'm not a medical doctor. I'm not here to say that I can cure you of lupus. I believe that our bodies are healing and self-healing. And if we do the right things to heal ourselves, we can heal our bodies. And with that, I'll go into kind of the story behind my diagnosis. So I was diagnosed with lupus in 2020. Okay. And you got to think of where we were in 2020. 2020 was the pandemic. So I want to say it was September, October, November timeline when I was diagnosed, at least when I first started going to the doctor. Um, and of course, it was. I went to the doctor for something else. I had some blood work done, A&A, and it was really, red flags. So they sent me to a rheumatologist, and I went to the rheumatologist. Now, again, I'm going to kind of set the backstory. It was 2020. We were in the pandemic. I was extremely stressed out. I was an entrepreneur and I had a business. I had a esthetician business, so I did skincare and I did yoni steams. And so I was just getting things going. I had opened Her Secret Garden in 2018, and so it was just a new baby. She was 2 years old, and the pandemic came and shut everything down. I wasn't able to make any money, and I still had to pay rent and different things on the location that I was at. And so I had no money coming in and I still had to have money going out. My daughter, my teenage daughter, she was 18 at the time, was pregnant and due with my grandson in January. She was living with me, and my grandson's father, were not together, and he was not at all involved in the birth or pregnancy or any of those things. So, supporting her the best way that I can. She wasn't working. Obviously, nobody was working. Everybody was shut down, and so just supporting her and kind of going through the motions of all of that. So in the midst of that, that's when I went to the doctor and rheumatologist, and I had all these testing done, and she told me that I had lupus. And um, it was just an odd time. Let's just say that it was a really, really odd time. I think we were all on edge. Everybody was stressed out. Nervous systems were not regulated. So I just wanted to kind of set the scene so you guys kind of know what the scenario was when I was diagnosed. Um, so one of the things that I did immediately when she told me, after looking at the blood work and different things like that, and I would say this is probably like our second or third appointment. Of course, we had our first initial appointment, and then she sent me off for blood work and some X-rays or something like that. And then we got that back, and that's when she came in and sat down and told me. And she did put me on medication. I forgot have forgotten the name of the medication, but it's the medication that people that have lupus take. It was actually a really, really popular medication during COVID too. I think people were taking it to get rid of COVID or to lessen the symptoms or something like that. I want to say HCG, or it was something. It's very, very popular medication. But immediately she wrote me that prescription and put me on that medication. So the first thing that I did um, to cure myself or to put myself in remission of lupus is I never received the diagnosis. First thing. Um, like I said, the doctor came in, she told me what her recommendation was. She wrote me a prescription, and then she told me I'll see you in 3 months. And I went home and I prayed and I did not receive it. I just didn't receive it. If you talk to any of my friends, any of my family, they'll tell you I explained to them what happened, but I never received a diagnosis. I've never said that I had lupus. Okay, that's number one. I just did not feel it in my spirit. I did not feel it in my spirit. And I just felt like there were so many other factors and so much stress. And a lot of autoimmune disorders have to do with stress. And so I was so stressed out at that time. I I didn't receive it. I said, you know what? I don't feel like it. There were other things, I lived in Dallas at the time. I was always out in the sun. The sun did not make me tired or drain me or any of those things. I didn't have the facial rashes or any skin issues or anything like that. And so I just didn't receive it. Words have power, and I knew that. And I didn't want anybody to speak anything, life or death or disease, over me. I wanted to take it to God and I wanted to pray about it. And I did start taking the medication just because, that's just what you're supposed to do. But again, I did not receive the diagnosis. That was number one. Okay. Um, Number two, I gave it to God. I gave my worry, I gave my stress, I gave my anxiety of what was going to come to the Most High. During that time, I know a lot of us did a lot of self reflection, and for me, I know that God said He came to give me life abundant and full. And I've always, always held on to that scripture. That's like one of my favorite scriptures. I think that's Jeremiah 29:11. And I just knew that this wasn't what he had for my life. But I also knew that there were things that he told me to do that I wasn't doing. And one of those things was worry. And so I had to give all of that worry, all of that stress, thinking about my business. Was I going to fail? Was I going to, you know, um, be homeless? Was I, whatever the situation was, whatever it was, I just gave it to him because I didn't want to worry about it anymore. I knew what worrying was doing to my body. I didn't feel good in my body. I was stressed out. I was tired, very, very fatigued all the time. And I just said, you know what? I'm giving it to him, and I'm just going to leave it for him to figure it out because I do not have the capacity to figure it out. And so I gave it to God. I gave it to God. I can go back onto my journal. I journal a lot. And I can go back to my journal around that time and see that I just gave it to him. I wrote everything out and I gave it to him. So that was what I did, number two. Um, Number three, I learned how to regulate my nervous system. So I realized what I was doing and how I was internalizing a lot of the stress, a lot of the worry, and my nervous system was a wreck. Okay, I wasn't sleeping at night. My gut was all messed up. My hair was doing weird things. My skin was doing weird things. And I just knew that my nervous system was all over the place. And so I had to sit down with myself and talk to myself and realize what I had to do. And so I had to regulate my nervous system. And the way that I did that was meditation. And I won't say I meditated every day, but meditation became a practice that I practiced several times a week. I did a lot of guided meditations. There were people that I followed on YouTube, different apps, different things like that. And I would start my day and end my day with meditation. And I just wanted to calm things. I wanted to clear my mind. I wanted to calm things. And I just wanted to be able to focus on healing. I did hertz frequencies, healing frequencies when I went to sleep, different things like that that I did to kind of calm my nervous system. Another thing that I did was I started to go outside more. I did daily walks. I have a dog. I was being lazy, I'm not going to lie, and not taking care of him the way that I needed to. And so I made it a thing that I would walk him twice a day, daily walks and time in the sun between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. Whether I just sat outside in the sun and journaled, or I went and grounded, or I took my dog on a walk, I just made sure that I spent time in the sun on a daily basis. The sun is healing. And that was another reason why I knew that I didn't have lupus, because the sun did not affect me like that. It felt healing to me. And it was something that I needed. And my spirit told me, go sit in the sun. And so that's what I started to do. And then another way that I regulated my nervous system is with rest. I realized that I was not giving myself the proper 8 hours of rest a night. And a lot of the things that I was worrying about was keeping me up at night. And so I prioritized rest. Again, when I went to sleep, I would put on healing frequencies, 482, 890, 490 hertz, different things like that that were like healing frequencies to the body. And I would go to sleep with those things. Also, different meditations, different affirmations, different things like that that I would put in my mind as I went to sleep and I went into my subconscious, and I was just feeding myself those things. And over time, those things helped to regulate my nervous system. And so I wasn't so, all the time. And so that was number three. Number three was I learned how to regulate my nervous system, and then by meditation, daily walks, time in the sun, and then also rest. That was that's high on the list, is rest. And then also I changed my eating, and I've been a pretty healthy-ish type person my whole life, and I've gone through different stages where I was vegan and pescatarian and different things like that. At this point, I was vegetarian, um, but maybe I was having too many other processed vegetarian meals or processed meals. And so I just made a promise to myself that I was going to do no processed food. During that time, I was really, really intentional about what I was eating. If I did want a sweet treat or I wanted cookies or different things like that, I made them myself. So I knew exactly what was in it. For me, watching what I eat was more so making the meals myself, and being very, very intentional over the things that I eat. Like I said, at that time I had a vegetarian diet, and I felt like that was really, really good for that time period in my life. I am not vegetarian right now. I'm not vegan right now. I'm not pescatarian. But during that time, I was. And then also, I increased my herbs. So I'm an herbalist. The more I learn about herbs, I increased herbs and started using them more and more in my daily life, whether I was adding herbs to different meals, herbal teas. Of course, I was still yoni steaming with herbs. So I just kind of increased the amount of herbs that I was using, and then also incorporating a lot of bitters and a lot of detoxifying herbs to help detoxify my kidneys and my liver during that time. Um, and then also colonics. So I've gotten colonics now for the last, I want to say, about 12 years. I've gone at least once a year. I did not go haven't gone this year, but I try to do colonics. I feel like that hydrotherapy is great. Cleaning out your gut and your intestines is really really great, and it takes away that fogginess that you get sometimes. I know I always feel so light after a colonic. And just sometimes I feel like there's a lot of waste inside of us, and all that backed up waste is causing disease and illnesses and imbalances and just, getting us out of focus sometimes. And so for me, I increased my colonics. I believe I that year or 2021, I probably did once a quarter. So I was getting a colonic once a quarter. And then again, like I said, I was drinking a lot of bitter herbs so that I can detox my body, incorporating more herbs into my foods, different things like that. And then just really watching and being very, very, very intentional about the things that I was eating. Now, I would say about 8 months, let's fast forward 8 months later after my diagnosis. I started taking the medication. I took the medication for maybe like 3 months and then I stopped. And again, it was just something my spirit was like, girl, stop taking this medication. You do not have lupus. Why are you taking the medication? If you don't believe that you have it, why are you taking the medication? And so I stopped taking the medication. But it was probably about 8 months after I was initially diagnosed. I went in for just a routine follow up appointment and took blood work. And the doctor was like, you're in remission. Um, at that time, I knew I probably never had it. I was probably misdiagnosed. I don't know. I don't know. Like I said, I'm not a medical doctor, so I don't know what the markers are and all of that. Um, but to be in remission so soon after being diagnosed, I don't know that I believe that. So that's kind of what I did in order to go from a lupus diagnosis to remission in 8 months. Um, I continue to be very intentional with the foods that I eat. I am very, very intentional about rest and self care and self love, and that probably catapulted that journey in my life because um, I spend so much time loving on myself now and resting and not feeling guilty, getting rest and not feeling guilty, taking time out for myself and turning off my phone and putting my phone on do not disturb and just creating the boundaries that I need in my life in order to in order to not feel stressed out and in order to have that regulated nervous system. I understand that we live in a very, very, very stressful um, society. And a lot of us are stressed out. But I just refuse to live my life in a way that is stressful. Stress causes disease and illness in our bodies. And I know that for a fact because I know how I felt at that time. And I felt horrible. I really, really, really felt horrible during that time. So those are some of the things that I did. Um, and these are just things that I would incorporate just in anybody's life. You don't have to have a diagnosis in order to, change your eating habits and to eliminate processed foods. You don't have to have a diagnosis to, pray and go to God and give him your worry and your stress. You don't have to have a diagnosis in order to go out in the sun. A lot of us work from home, and even if we don't work from home, we're in buildings all day. Go outside between 10 a.m. and 2 p.m. and get you some sun. You know what I mean? Like, these are things that we should be doing anyways. We shouldn't wait for a diagnosis in order to incorporate the things that I said that we should be incorporating and truly working on your nervous system and regulating your nervous system. So, hopefully, I didn't ramble on too much. Hopefully, I gave you guys the answer that you are looking for. And you can follow me on all social media. I am Her Secret Garden V Steam on Instagram and Facebook. And you can reach me at Herbalist Darlene on TikTok and Darlene Charise on YouTube and Pinterest. So, if you have any questions, shoot me a DM. I would be happy to help. I do herbal consultations, yoni steams. Like I said, I'm a holistic postpartum doula, and I incorporate a lot of herbs and holistic practices in my doula practice. And I'm just here to share, my journey. I'm 46 years old. I'm a grandma. I'm a mom, and I'm just here to share my journey with you guys. So If you liked this video, there's more to come. Subscribe, follow, turn on your notifications, and I will see you all very, very soon. Bye.